Hello there ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing? It's Alexander Hilly123 here and it's time for a new video. And as you can see from the title, it is a new pickups video today. I can't remember when my last pickups video was, but it was definitely not 2018, so it definitely is time for a new pickups video. I think it was maybe late November, early December, so yeah, here we are. And I have today 6 games. Now usually I have a rule that it has to be every 5 games for a pickups video, so we've got 6. But the thing is with today's pickups video is there is only one physical game, which is on the PS4. The rest are digital for one reason or another, which we will get to in time. But yes, the first one I'm showing is actually the physical pickup as well. It's on the PS4, like I said, and it is Horizon Zero Dawn. And I had deliberated on this one for quite a while before I purchased it. I paid nearly £30 for the game because I wasn't sure whether it would be my bag. It was critically acclaimed, it got absolutely fantastic reviews, people waxing lyrical about it, ladies and gentlemen. And I plugged 25 hours into it, which I think is a decent amount of time. But I can't make a video, I can't talk about video games anymore without having to talk about the open world and having to talk about this aspect of them that requires you to play hundreds and hundreds of hours. I miss the times when I could play a game for 25 hours. Half that time I could play a game for, I don't know, let's say 14 hours and have an incredible experience and want to return to it. But that's the story over. A beginning, a middle and an end, and a story and gameplay. And these days it's level grinding, it's open world, and there's a website called howlongtobeat.com, and I use it for every game that I go into for the first time, just so I have an understanding of how long approximately the experience is going to last me. Now some people could say, well, that's going to ruin the enjoyment and the fun of the game, knowing where you're up to, but for me, no, I don't think it does. I just want to know how much time I'm probably going to spend on it, and obviously you've got to take into consideration the difficulty level that you're playing on, and also the fact that you may be shitter or better than a lot of other people at the game, for example. But this game, I think it was 60 hours, and like I say, I plugged 25 hours into it. I did enjoy it, and then I just got bored of it, because I don't want to plug that much time into the game. And another reason is because I'm a heck of a lot busier than I used to be. And as adults now, we've got to go on the daily grind and be miserable and not have any free time. Although I've got the next week and a half off, motherfuckers. But yeah, it's a great game, but I've stopped playing it, and maybe I'll return to it. I hope I do, because I can't say that many bad things about it, although with these kind of games, it's like, it was too easy. I played on hard difficulty, by the way, which isn't like me, but something about this game's gameplay really resonated with me. You've got different kinds of bows that can do, like, traps, can take off armour of the enemies, like the big dinosaur robots, whatever the fuck they are. And there's some that do fire damage. There's a heck of a lot of great gameplay elements here, and I would recommend people who like open world games to purchase this, and it's been a good experience, but I've just stopped playing it. I got bored of it, and I'll tell you what, I initially didn't have that many side quests on, and I thought, oh, this is strange. And then by the time I stopped playing it, honestly, no word of a lie, I think I've got 17 different quests, and it's just like, what the fuck? I've honestly got 17 different quests. And I go onto the menu, I click, right, do side quest, and for one reason or another, and I can't remember now, I can't do them. I'm getting caught blocked by the map, or I'm not a high level enough, or one just bores me. There was all sorts of different problems with the side quests, and I just got bored. And this exact same thing happened with Prey last year, and that isn't really an open world game, but that's what happened. And that doesn't happen in linear games. Sorry guys, I can't make a fucking video where we're speaking about this shit these days, but it's just the way I feel. A great game, but a great game that for now I've not gone back to. I had to have a ramble at that one. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, a game that I did enjoy and only plugged about 10 hours into was Super Hot. Super Hot. Anyone who's played Super Hot will know what I'm talking about there. If you haven't played Super Hot, you quite simply won't. But Super Hot is a game, it's a first-person game, first-person shooter, with a huge difference, and that huge difference is that if you stay still, the enemies will stay still. And the only enemy in the game, as far as I remember, are red guys. So they're just human-shaped, and some of them have melee weapons, some of them have guns. You've got handguns, machine guns, and shotguns. You can use those as well. You can use different melee objects to throw at them to stagger them, and there are melee weapons like machetes and shit like that, katanas, I think. And once you move really quickly, they move really quickly as well. So if you get good at the game, you can play it like that and it's more dangerous, or you can play it really slowly. There are tons of different levels. There's even a little weird story going on as well about being in the actual game yourself and all that shit. I think it was a Polish studio who made Super Hot. And overall, I've got to say, I thought it was a really positive experience. And right now, off the top of my head, I wouldn't know what to call the graphical style. I don't think it's cel shaded. I don't think it is, but just look up Super Hot and you'll see the graphic style. It's something unique, and I really enjoyed it. And recently, I think just last month, it went free on Xbox Live. I purchased it a couple of months ago and paid about 13 quid for it, so I was a little bit annoyed because it always tends to happen. But whatever, I had a fun experience. Super Hot. I didn't, however, have a fun experience on the next game, which I got online free. 3 out of the next 4 games I got for free, ladies and gentlemen. And that was Zombie. Zombie with an I at the end. And I just go online here and see who made this game. I want to talk about it in a little greater detail. But I kind of started to enjoy this game and then really went off it. Now, as you guys will know, I'm big on zombies, I'm big on horror and survival horror. Zombie is set in the UK, actually. It's set in London. And initially, it was Zombie U. It came out on the Wii U, and then I believe was ported to, there's a PC version, PS4 and Xbox One. And the game, let me just read it to you. Let's see the plot here. Oh yeah, it's about John Dee and this prophecy about an apocalypse happening in London. But yeah, just doing quests for people, errands, running errands for all sorts of different people, and this zombie apocalypse. And the problem I had with this game was that the cricket bat that you were given as a default weapon was so overpowered, it meant nothing. Like, the enemies... Not many games I've played that I'd say were too easy. And I wouldn't exactly say it was too easy, but you were given guns, and guns that would take 7 or 8 very accurate shots to kill an enemy, or a cricket bat where you can block their attack and then just smack them, and it's easy to kill them. And it's like, well, it's a no-brainer. Why would I use the guns? And that survival aspect of the game was completely lost because the gameplay was diabolical. However, the game had a limited inventory system, which was pretty cool, and it had you going through shopping centres and other such places, gathering loot, and I did like that aspect of the game, but unfortunately, yet again, and maybe it's my age, you guys know I'm complaining in every single video, whatever I'm doing on the internet now, I'm complaining all the time about the open world and all this. Zombie it's mainly a linear experience, but I just rage quit because I can't remember what it was, but they added a mechanic and dynamic about halfway through the game, which completely turned everything on its head and made it all of a sudden really unfair and difficult. I just rage quit and I couldn't be arsed. But the gameplay was dull in Zombie. It had some good ideas, but like I say, when the cricket bat that doesn't get degraded is your best weapon, it's just dumb. Kind of not exactly similar than Dead Island, but I remember playing that and thinking the same. That game was shit, in my opinion. But anyway, Zombie, not a great game, and I didn't enjoy it for those reasons. But a game I did enjoy, ladies and gentlemen, a game which I started just over 3 years ago, and I did talk about it in my Love Linear Games video prior to this one, was Alan Wake, which, after beginning it in early 2015, I didn't come back to it for 3 years for whatever reason, but I completed it. And then I purchased, as soon as I did, complete the original Alan Wake, Alan Wake's American Nightmare. And overall, I've got to say that I didn't enjoy Alan Wake's American Nightmare as much as Alan Wake. And yes, one of the reasons was because they added a little mini-map to the bottom left of the screen, and they gave you a 4 F-A-U-X, ladies and gentlemen, a 4 open world, which wasn't open. It was incredibly linear. It even tells you where to go. It just gives you the facade of it being more open, and it's not. I really like the very, very different graphical approach. It's set in Nevada, I think, in the desert, Alan Wake's American Nightmare, whereas obviously the first game, I think it's set in Washington, but there's tons of trees and woods and forests and whatnot, and it's constantly dark, of course, with the old flashlight and everything. But the game feels very different. It's the same guy's face that plays Alan Wake and the same voice actor, but it does somewhat feel different in many regards. The gameplay is tightened up and made better, and it's more fun in that aspect, but the game stocks you up on ammunition all the time. There's tons of these like boxes where you just get your batteries refilled and get your ammo stocked. And the first game, during the harder parts, you were running out of ammo, and you're wondering when the next set of ammunition was going to come. And obviously Alan Wake doesn't have an upgrade system, but that kind of survival horror aspect was not in Alan Wake's American Nightmare, and the game was rather easy as well. And something that I hated about Alan Wake's American Nightmare was that you replayed, I'm not going to go into it in great detail, but you replayed the same frigging level time and time and time again. It was just 3 little levels that you repeated the whole game. Now, it wasn't a sequel per se, Alan Wake's American Nightmare. It took me about 8 hours as well to complete. I always go slow in my games. But yeah, it took me about 8 hours to complete, but by the end of it, I wanted it to end, and I wasn't hugely impressed. But the first Alan Wake I really enjoyed, and I'm still going to get Quantum Break, despite the shit that it got, because it's a linear story-based game. And I like what Remedy have done with Max Payne and Alan Wake and stuff. Anyway, how many times can you say Alan Wake? Anyway, no Alan Wake in the next 2 pickups, ladies and gentlemen, because they are PlayStation 4 exclusives. I'm already running in at 12.5 minutes now. And I'm not going to talk about these too much, because one, I've only plugged a couple of hours into, and the other, I haven't played at all. But it was this month's I should say, free games on PlayStation 4. I had to purchase these because I wanted to purchase them, anyway. And they are Bloodborne and Ratchet and Clank. And I never played Ratchet and Clank back in the day in the PS2 era, and it looked really nice. And I always get, for some reason, I don't know if other people do, Jak and Daxter and Ratchet and Clank mixed up. So I was like, oh, I'm going to get Jak and Daxter free off PS4. No, you're not, because it doesn't exist. It's Ratchet and Clank, but I can't speak about it. It just looks like a really cool game, and I got it for free, so let's see what happens. Not started it yet, but I have, ladies and gentlemen, plugged a couple of hours into Bloodborne. And I rage quit the first Dark Souls game. I'm not going to go into it in great detail, but it should be the kind of game that I like, Dark Souls, but the first boss I rage quit to. And yes, it was because I couldn't beat it, but the gameplay, as my mum starts hoovering in the background, I've said it before, she loves hoovering in these videos, trust me. The first boss was some kind of flying monster, and it was on a bridge. You had no way to escape it, only that stupid roll, and the only thing you can do is swing this heavy sword and hit the monster's ankles. And it takes about 500 goes because you take off a smidgen of its health, and yet you die in a couple of hits. And I was just thinking, what the fuck is this game all about? I never understood Dark Souls, but I was told a couple of things. In Bloodborne you get a gun, which I don't think is a gun that kills enemies in a couple of shots. The gun is used, from what I can tell so far, as a means to stagger enemies, knock them back, and then go in with your melee. But nevertheless, there's guns, and the gothic architecture in Bloodborne is incredible, and the graphics are totally beautiful. I've plugged a couple of hours in, and I've got to be honest with you, I've only died a few times, but one thing that really gets me about these games is that if you die, you lose everything, and you've got to do it all over again. The enemies respawn, and that is something that I just cannot cope with. And I looked online and people were just saying, well, you've got to like it or lump it. It's just the way the game is. I can't help but think that's going to turn me off. But I've got a week and a half off work and I'm going to plug some time into Bloodborne and see if I can actually enjoy it. I've not faced a first boss yet, but I believe, looking online, that I'm quite close. And I've also seen on how long to complete that it's going to take me about 45-50 hours, but obviously you've got to take into consideration that this is apparently one of the hardest games of all time. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to end it here. My voice is going now. And next week I'm coming back to you with a new pickups video. But it's not a gaming pickups video, it's a vinyl pickups video. That's right, motherfuckers. Vinyl is coming to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.